Midnight to 0:30 opening hook. I still remember the sound of crystal laughter echoing through that ballroom, the laughter of people who belonged to a world I could only ever clean up after. The chandeliers glittered like 1,000 tiny suns above me, and the scent of white roses and expensive perfume clung to the air. And then, in one clumsy heartbeat, I spilled hot coffee all over the groom, not just any groom, the CEO, Ethan Vale, the man whose wedding the entire city had been gossiping about for weeks. His white suit turned a deep, ugly brown before I could even gasp. The orchestra stopped. Guests froze. And as his eyes met mine, sharp, furious, humiliated, I knew that moment would haunt me forever. That I thought my life was over. What I didn't know was that one day, that same man would say I saved his life. My name is Lila Reyes. 25 years old. Hotel maid. I'd been working at the Meridian Grand for nearly 2 years, cleaning rooms I could never afford, serving food I'd never taste, and smiling through exhaustion I could never escape. My uniform always smelled faintly of detergent and lemon polish. My hands were rough, cracked from scrubbing floors and washing linens. But every morning, I'd stand before the mirror in the staff locker room, pin my name tag, and whisper to my reflection, "Smile, Lila. You're lucky to have a job." Still, that morning, my stomach felt hollow from skipping breakfast. My little brother, Mateo, was sick, and every peso I earned went toward his medicine. I couldn't afford mistakes, especially not on a day like this, because today, the wedding of Ethan Vale, the billionaire CEO of Vale Industries, was being held right here, in our hotel's grand hall. He was everything the tabloids loved: handsome, powerful, always in control. His bride, Clara Monroe, was elegance itself, the daughter of a senator, always smiling for cameras. Together, they looked untouchable, and I was invisible. I was assigned to the bridal suite, refilling glasses and keeping the buffet trays warm before the ceremony. My fingers shook as I carried a silver tray of fresh coffee through the narrow corridor toward the ballroom. Then it happened. A child ran across the hall, chasing a balloon. I swerved to avoid him, and the tray tipped. A splash of steaming liquid flew through the air, staining white fabric, landing squarely on the groom's chest. Gasps filled the room, someone screamed, and Ethan Vale looked down at his ruined suit in disbelief. For a second, the world stopped. My heart hammered so loudly I could barely breathe. "I'm so sorry, sir," I stammered, grabbing napkins from the tray. "It was an accident, please." But he stepped back, eyes burning. "Get away from me," he said coldly. His voice was low, dangerous. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" The bride rushed over, panic in her voice. "Ethan. The ceremony starts in 10 minutes. He turned to the event manager. "Fire her. Now." The word struck like a slap. My knees went weak. The manager whispered, "Please, sir, she didn't mean," I said now. And just like that, my world shattered. Security escorted me out through the back corridor. I could still hear the orchestra starting up again behind me, pretending nothing had happened. Tears blurred my vision. My entire month's wages would barely cover Mateo's medicine, and now, nothing. I sat behind the hotel dumpster, my uniform stained, hands shaking. I whispered, "What am I going to do?" As I sat there, a small white card fluttered out of my apron pocket, Ethan's monogram embossed on it. The catering manager must have slipped it to me earlier, saying, "If anything goes wrong, this is the direct line to his office." I looked at it through tears and laughed bitterly. What could I possibly say? "Sorry for ruining your wedding suit." I tore the card in half and let the pieces fall into the trash. That night, I didn't go home right away. I walked to the hospital to see Mateo. He smiled weakly when he saw me. "Did you see any rich people today, Lila?" he asked. "Were they nice?" I forced a smile. "They were beautiful." I didn't tell him I'd lost my job. I couldn't. Days turned into weeks. I found work at a small diner, scrubbing dishes. Each time I saw wedding photos of Ethan Vale and Clara online, their perfect smiles twisted something inside me. One night, after a long shift, I saw Ethan on the news. He looked different. Thinner. Paler. The anchor said he'd been hospitalized for exhaustion after working non-stop for months. That I felt a strange tug of empathy. For someone so powerful, he looked lost. Still, I tried to forget. I had my own problems. Mateo's condition worsened. His treatments became more expensive. I started donating blood at clinics for extra cash. Then, one rainy afternoon, I was cleaning tables at the diner when a man in a dark suit walked in. He looked vaguely familiar, sharp eyes, polished shoes, a corporate stiffness. He ordered coffee. Black. The same way Ethan Vale had ordered his, that day. As I placed the cup on his table, he said quietly, "You used to work at the Meridian Grand, didn't you?" My hands froze. "Yes, sir." He smiled slightly. "Mr. Vale would like to see you." My heart stopped. The next morning, I stood in the glass lobby of Vale Industries. The place gleamed with marble floors and walls that seemed to hum with money. I half expected security to throw me out again. But instead, a woman in a gray suit led me to the top floor. When the elevator doors opened, I saw him, Ethan Vale, seated behind a massive oak desk, sunlight falling across his face. He looked tired, more human than the man from the wedding. He gestured for me to sit. "Lila Reyes, right?" "Yes, sir." He studied me for a long moment. "Do you know why I asked you here?" My throat was dry. "To apologize?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face. Then he said, "No. To thank you." I blinked. "Thank me?" He leaned back in his chair. "You probably don't remember, but the day of my wedding, after the incident, I changed suits. The one you spilled coffee on, I left it behind. It turns out, someone had tampered with it." My breath caught. He continued, voice low. "The tailor found traces of a rare allergen in the fabric, something I'm severely allergic to. If I'd worn it for the ceremony, my doctor said it could have killed me." Silence filled the room. My heartbeat roared in my ears. He looked straight at me. "So yes, you ruined my wedding suit. But you also saved my life."